But you never know that you could. And when you feel that way, ain't it good, good dancing in the red and gold. Dancing in the red and gold.
What's up, Faithful? Welcome to another episode of the 49er Faithful UK Live. As always, I'm Paul Hope.
And I'm a slightly hoarse Nick Ludlam.
Well, Faithful, our 49ers fall for the first time in this regular season, and for the first time in a regular season for about a year. We went down 19-17 on the road to the Cleveland Browns. Now, first of all, I just want to say no one, especially me, said that the 49ers would win every game this season.
True.
Mr. Gowland might have said that. Cast your mind back to me and Nick doing a season preview. We didn't say we'd win them all. Now, it's fair to say, Nick, not much went right for the 49ers on Sunday.
No.
And almost any and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But before we get into all that, mate, and much more, I'm sure, it feels like ages since I've seen you, buddy. What have you been up to?
Well, been out and about, went to some place called London. Never been there before. That was all right. Had a good laugh. Left my voice there. It's still it's coming back bit by bit, but nah. What a weekend. I know the result wasn't what we wanted, but it was just a fabulous evening. I haven't had that much fun watching the team we love lose ever. I've never had that much fun watching a loss. They're never great. But like you say, we didn't really deserve to win. We didn't play well enough to win. It never should have come down to Nick Moody. You can't blame that young man. It's not his fault. We never should have been in that position. Frankly, the refereeing decisions that led on that last Browns drive were nothing short of horrific. That's some of the worst refereeing I think I've ever seen, but it is what it is. We still put ourselves in that position. There are some positives to take from it. I mean, you look at Randy Gregory. Look, he had a decent game, especially on a short week. He hadn't had all of he hasn't had all the time with the team yet. And he looked good. He looks like he's going to be a really good addition to that pass rush. It's going to allow us to keep rotating a little more, allowing players to stay fresh. It's going to allow us, when we are doing well, to say, all right, Nick, you're going to come off for that fourth quarter, mate. You don't need to play. It's going to be, it's going to be all right. Yeah, I know, Lee. It's so bad.
Well, before we went live, everybody, Nick said to me, Paul, you need to manage my reps. You need to manage my voice. Now, as always, El Presidente, the main man, 49er Faithful UK. You may have seen him on Sky Sports if you weren't at the watch party. I sounded just like Lee and Nick yesterday. Rest assured, I've not been talking a lot today. For those who know me, know that's been difficult. But as Lee puts there, Nick sounds like me at the moment. And hopefully Lee will have recovered before tomorrow night's live show. So as always, everybody, the cat is out the bag. Hadn't tweeted that yet, Lee. So for those people who are aware, the Awesome Foursome split into two this week because our trains were cancelled yesterday, Nick. So silly old me booked a later train to come home on Monday. So myself and you could go around London yesterday morning, get some photos next to some landmarks for our little show of ours. All the trains were cancelled. So Gareth and Naji recorded the therapy session of the pod, which is out now. I'll fly the banner later. And me and Lee, possibly Nick, depending on his voice, are going to go live tomorrow night. We haven't decided the time yet, but we're going to basically go a bit more in-depth with the watch party. But it wouldn't be a Tuesday night if we didn't just jump all over. So whilst you're getting your voice rested, Mike, great to meet you at the watch party, buddy.
Absolutely.
Evening, big little chaps. Looking forward to catching this live for a change. The in-joke there, everybody, is Nick apparently is larger in real life, and it took Mike by surprise. Colin, is in the house.
How you doing, mate?
Stay tuned, Dawn. Got a cracking video that we're going to drop later. A cracking video from Sunday night. Cubs, appreciate you joining. And Cubs has even joined us on Facebook now. So I do appreciate that, buddy.
Filled in.
There was a lot of dancing in the red and gold.
Oh, there was. A lot of dancing, a lot of singing. Good times.
So before we go down the watch party, you mentioned about the referees. Now, I, like my good friend Nadji, don't like to blame referees when we lose a game. Yes, there was some contentious decisions. We were all watching together on Sunday night. I recall a few of the Niners employees cursing, doing the same as we did. I mean, that one on Gibson was horrific.
Yeah, it was a perfectly good hit. Perfectly good hit.
But this is football. We all have to get on the emotional roller coaster. We didn't lose that game because of that decision. When it came down to it, we didn't lose a game just because of Jake Moody. Now, I may be controversial, Nick. You know I like to speak my mind. When I've dusted down the emotion, I'm glad that Brock Purdy's had his first interception. I'm glad that Jake Moody's missed a couple of field goals. Because guess what, everybody? The Philadelphia Eagles lost.
True.
They're still 5-1, baby. If you told me the start of the season would be 5-1 now, most people would have taken it.
Yeah.
Cast your mind back to before CMC arrived last year. And everyone was laughing. Paul Hope, you told us we were going to be 14-3. CMC came in and saved my skin. Now, those decisions were dodgy, and it was bound to happen at some point. The honeymoon period is over. Kyle Brandt, Brock Purdy is human. We all saw that for ourselves. So rather than go down the refereeing decision, Nick, I do want to talk about Brock because I have just recorded a podcast with my good friend Andy, who's a Dolphins fan, and I ripped the Band-Aid off, mate, and I said to him, non-Niners fans are going to love this. This was easily the worst performance of Brock Purdy's career. Not only through an interception, there was the fumble, which he was lucky to get away with, but we saw it for ourselves. We talk about the eye test on this show. He missed several open receivers. He had multiple other throws that could have been picked off. But he eventually put the team on his back and he marched up the field.
He did.
And Jake Moody still could have won that game. So what do you make of Brock Purdy's performance on Sunday, Nick, while I catch up on the comments? And before you speak, Wayne recognises that throw.
That sounds dodgy, mate. That sounds dodgy. Nah, like you say, it is a good thing because now we get to find out what Brock Purdy's made of. And I fully believe he's going to bounce back from this with a vengeance. He didn't panic. You know, this has been said within the group. It's been said online. Purdy didn't set about trying to win the game on his own. Nothing went crazy. He still put himself in those positions. He was still trying, but he didn't believe himself to be that superstar that had to go and win the game because other things weren't going perfectly. He was poised, and that's what you want to see from a young quarterback. And a lot of other young quarterbacks may have actually completely fallen to pieces. You know, it was one interception. He didn't then go out and throw a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth. It's not like he had a game where he just fell to pieces. He still put us in the position to try and win that game. Yeah, the field goal didn't go quite right. There's a lot to take from it. You know, he almost started to bounce back from that really poor start towards the end of the game. So now we're going to see how he's going to move forward. We're going to see, I do fully believe that we're going to see Brock Purdy firing on all cylinders again next week against the Vikings. There'll be no Justin Jefferson. He's on IR. So that's their biggest threat out the window. He's going to also get to see another QB that is kind of similar in the way in which they go about their games. You know, Kirk Cousins, he's not an elite quarterback, but he's going to get to see how to process in the same sort of way. But Purdy can do this. Purdy can still bring us forward. We're still going to win the Super Bowl, baby. Make no bones about that. We're still winning this. But
I'm not laughing at your take, mate. I'm laughing at your voice. It sounded like you should have heard me and Lee trying to talk on the train yesterday. So
True.
again, you asked me to jump in. Now, funnily enough, Martin's train was fine yesterday. For those
There's a
people across the
surprise.
pond, Martin works on the railways over here, so his train was running fine. But the reason I wanted to start on Brock Purdy, buddy, was, as Cubs has put here, the most important takeaway is that when we needed a game-winning drive, Brock got them down the field. And it wasn't perfect. We've talked on this side of the pond, the imperfect, perfect Purdy over the year. He committed an intentional grounding penalty on the first down, trying to get rid of the football against a free rusher, stopping the clock. I was surprised, as the chap said on the pod last night, that we then went for 3 consecutive passing plays, which only ate 16 seconds of the game clock.
True.
And it gave the Browns the ball back with 3 minutes, 5 seconds and all their timeouts. And like we said, with help from 2 questionable penalties, which we're going to go back to, the Browns drove down the field. We kept them to a field goal, and then we marched down the field. Now, the mood in London, everybody, we thought we were going to win. When we marched that field, we thought we were going to get the perfect ending, the first official watch party, Joe Staley in the house. Now, if you weren't there on Sunday and you're getting a little bit frustrated with the talk of Joe, strap in, because it isn't going anywhere. Because we can talk for an hour tonight, and me and Lee could talk for an hour. There's going to be lots to come out. Now,
you may be able to talk for an hour. I don't think I could.
Now, before we finish off and go to the penalties, like we said, I saw a tweet earlier. Obviously, I've been trying to catch up. The Niners went the majority of the game without All-Pro Christian McCaffrey, All-Pro Deebo Samuel. Yet, we were still a 41-yard field goal away from winning in the road against arguably the NFL's best defense at the moment in rainy conditions. Now, when I say rainy conditions, that's not an excuse for Brock. I'm not saying his kryptonite is the rain. It was not a monsoon like we've seen in the before, but it has to be taken into account. Similar as Kyle's play call and similar as the penalties. Obviously, our offensive line struggled against the interior pass rush and the stuff the run quite well. But we are going to circle back to the penalties just before we move on. So we knew this was going to be a dogfight. We knew this, Nick. The Cleveland Browns at home is no pushover. But we conceded more penalties since the game against the Bears last year in the rain. 12 penalties for 115 yards on the day. The Browns saw 13 penalties go against them. So I wanted people to remember that. We were in the watch party. We were fully watching with all the emotions. None of us were making notes. None of us were analysing football. We were in the moment. Now, you could argue the battle was more interesting than the Dallas game. Possibly not. Maybe the watch party for the Dallas victory. But what I'm saying is it was back and forth. And given that we could have won it in the last second, the bar would have blew up. It was a full house. Joe was in the house. And like I've said, some of the penalties were drive killers. Some of them were questionable. But where do you stand on this? Because I don't like to talk about blaming the referees. I just wanted to get your thought process, if you can still talk, before we move on.
That's right. It has to be mentioned because it was it was those penalties that gave the Browns the lead. It has to be talked about. It was horrific. They were awful decisions. Though I hope those referees were talked to about those horrendous decisions because it did have a major impact on the game. It was a very close game. So it's impossible to not mention it at all. But at the same time, a team as good as the Niners are, we should never have been in this position. And my voice is just getting worse. I'm so sorry. But it is what it is. But we still had some really great moments. You know, you look at the drive from Brock Purdy. The bar erupted when Lenore picked off PJ Walker. Absolutely erupted. And that was one of those really awesome moments. I thought we all thought he was going to take it in. Of course, we ended up scoring, getting points anyway. But there are still positives to take from this. It's a lot of fun, and all I can see is Lee Gowland's laughing emojis in the bottom there in the comments. Cheers, mate.
So, whilst Nick, we'll get to that in a moment. So, Mike, I think someone's answered your question, but for those people who know, Wayne, our unofficial 49er Faithful UK photographer, obviously he takes photos for a living, turns up with his camera every meet. Now, to be fair, Mike, he sent me a little teaser group shot about half an hour before we went live. And he was like, if you want to use this on the live, mate. Now, if I knew how to do it, Mike, I'd show you. But I've used all my technical knowledge to share a video, which is coming up very soon. But I think Martin has just put there. So if you're in the Facebook group, Wayne has dropped the link. He has told me that if you want the high resolution versions, you have to let Wayne know. But what I would say is bear in mind, Wayne, like the rest of us, is a volunteer. He does this free of charge. So it may be he can't get back to you straight away. But he's already sent me my picture with Joe, which is better than the Facebook profile picture I've used. So I will be changing that one. Now, there's been a lot of talk, Nick, before we go full into the watch party vibes. Just saying what Cubs put there. Justin Herbert couldn't do what Brock did. Brock deserves his flowers. James Waters, I know that you couldn't come to the watch party. He put, looks like everyone had an absolute blast. He watched the game at his cousin's, so he had the swearing suppressor switched on because of the ref's calls. Honestly, James, this night, it was, to quote Lee Gowland, it was fantastic.
It was.
It will be well documented how good this night is, I promise you. Getting all the puns in there. Dan's put there, Brock will learn from this. Don't think he was terrible. Just not the standard. So I debated, everybody, whether to show this tonight. So I don't know if you can see there. So Andy and Ord, we all know their epic trip. Andy came up to me at the watch party. He said, you know you've got a problem when you think of another man before you buy yourself a T-shirt. And he said he'd saw that T-shirt, and given how I'm known for the Purdy good. Now, if we'd won that game, I was going to come rocking that T-shirt. And I said I would give them a shout-out tonight. But don't worry, Andy and Ord, I'm saving it for when Purdy bounces back on Monday Night Football. But I agree, Dan. I think he will bounce back. Now, I don't want to go too much into the injuries, Nick, because it's Tuesday. There's a long time to go.
We'll see.
But what's your thoughts on Christian McCaffrey?
Well, by all accounts, he's been downgraded, so it doesn't look like it's going to be too serious. By all accounts, there's a good chance he plays Monday night. Sorry about this. Oh, that's helped a little bit. It looks like there's a chance he'll play Monday night. But I think if he's not so high-pitched, stop putting them up. I swear you're just trolling me at this point.
I'm trying to help you save your boss.
If he's not at least 90% fit, sit him. Jordan Mason didn't look too bad on the limited runs that he got. Don't you even dare, Alec. I'll lose my voice all completely. Let's go and see now what Elijah Mitchell and Mason can do. There's no point risking him for week 7. Let's sit him back. You know, we've sat Dre Green all last week. Yeah, you guys have said it in the comments. We missed him. We did miss him. But you know what? If we have to rest CMC for one more week, and if we have to end up being 5-2, fine. Because Super Bowls aren't won in week 6. They aren't won in week 7. At the end of the day, as long as we make the playoffs and we are as healthy as possible at that point, that's the important bit. So let's sit them down. Let's give him a week to sit it out and have a rest. Let's get him back. Let's get him back running full barrels, ready for when we all show up for the Bucks game as well. The last thing we want is to be missing those players at that point.
Stop giving the script away. It's a month today till we're at the gold mine. Now the watch party has been ticked off. We're going to go full steam ahead. The reason I asked about CMC, it's known how much I love that man. Tracy keeps telling me to stop saying that. For those that may not know, my 23 jersey arrived on Friday. I texted Nick and was like, shall I save this for the gold mine? Nick was like, yes. So I texted Conor Ryan. Conor Ryan said no. So I decided to go with Conor because I really wanted to wear it. And you can't say how much he's changed our offense. Now, the worry with his injury is a worry. Getting my words mixed up. But it wasn't a superstar performance for McCaffrey. He averaged nearly 4 yards per carry on 11 carries. He hauled in all 3 of his targets, including his touchdown.
He
His
still scored.
15th consecutive game. Now, I did say, everybody, that when Christian McCaffrey scored against the Eagles at Elland Road in the NFC Championship game, I didn't think that feeling would get any better. But to be celebrating a touchdown in London with Joe Staley high-fiving me, the crowd then chanting, Joe, 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 that feeling will live with me forever.
Yeah.
It was just unreal. I can't state enough. If you weren't at the watch party, Joe Staley didn't just come, sign autographs, and then disappear off into a roped off section. He was in the crowd. He was signing anything you wanted to sign. He was talking football. I gave him a heart attack because I saw him checking his fantasy teams, Nick. So, how many fantasy teams have you got, Joe? He said, just the 2. I find that very stressful. I said, all right, yeah. He said, how many have you got? I said, well, this year I've got 11. So he looked at me and he went, this year? How many did you have last year? I said, just the 57, Joe. At which point he turned to his amazing wife, Carrie, and was like, how? So then I had a 15-minute conversation with Joe Staley and his wife about how I was able to run all these fantasy teams. And I just wanted to share that snippet because everybody at that watch party who interacted with Joe and his wife will have those stories. I know he was there working, Nick, and I know he's part of the Niners organisation, but I'm not wrong, am I, when I'm saying that was the most accessible we ever... Walking to the venue, everyone, we all had our merch that we wanted to sign, and I was like, look, everyone, we're not going to get a chance to sign stuff. The event's only on 6 till 9:30. I hold my hands up and don't mind being wrong. It was unbelievable. And I wanted to share that CMC story. Now, circling back round, there's a lot of talk, Nick, that Jordan Mason, averaging 5 yards a carry, should have been given the ball more in this game. I do think maybe sometimes teams think, right, dust this one off and we'll move to next week. Like you said, the sky isn't falling in as 49ers fans.
We're still 5-1.
Now, non-Niners fans, Nick, are acting like this team isn't a contender. When I was preparing for tonight's show, I thought I'd channel my inner Lee Gowland, which can be dangerous at times. But cast your mind back to 1994 and the dominant 49ers team led by the brilliant Steve Young. They lost 40-8 at home and Steve Young was benched. Could you imagine a performance like that in this era?
Let's be honest.
But this loss on Sunday reminded me of the 2019 Week 15 loss against the Falcons. Nothing to be overly concerned about. As I've just said before, the sky isn't falling in. This is the NFL. Nobody realistically expects any team to go 17-0. As I said to you off air, the Chiefs and Mahomes haven't done it. Brady at Tampa Bay didn't do it. Brock Purdy, San Francisco 49ers isn't doing it. But my good friend Brian Davies reached out to me earlier. He used to record the pods. He stepped away. And all he said, Nick, was get that Brasso ready. Now, Lee Gowland and Martin Hughes will get that reference, but I'm still feeling bullish. What about you, buddy? Are you still feeling confident in our chances?
100%. This is still a Super Bowl winning team. That's all there is to be said about this. The team still performed really. They still had their moments, even in the worst possible performance they could have had. There's no way a Browns team quarterbacked by PJ Walker should have been the team that stopped our run, but they did. But now they got a good chance to learn from it. And this isn't this isn't the worst time to have to deal with this. You're gonna have to stop laughing.
No, I'm smiling because I want to save your voice, and I don't want to interrupt.
It's all right, mate.
But the PJ Walker thing really irritates me. He didn't throw for a touchdown. Kareem Hunt rushed one in, and then they kicked the rest of the points. So this notion that PJ Walker came in and did what Colt McCoy did a couple of years ago, I'm not having any of that.
Oh
My
God, no,
non-Niners.
he wasn't even close to cut that
No.
Colt McCoy performance.
And let's face it, someone said it earlier in the chat. That Dan, it was a fumble by PJ
Yeah.
Walker all the way.
All day.
Cubs, he agrees it was a fumble. I don't know whether Martin or Dawn blamed the government for the fumble or your voice. Who knows?
Both.
I saw Rob he commented on Nathaniel, his post, saying he wished he could have been there. Rob, there'll be other meetups. This was a massive success. So
There'll be more.
Trust me, buddy. We're looking forward to November. A month today. I am going to be in full PR mode. After the watch party's done and dusted, trust me, buddy, the whole world will be known that we're going to the gold mine. And Neil has raised a very good point. The whole point of the gold mine, Nick, is to make noise, start the chants, and get the crowd going. And as he finishes off there, good luck with that, Nick. Now, when we are out in San Francisco, Nick wants to go live. We may need to do that before the game because I don't think he'll have a voice.
I'm taking straps, so we'll be all right.
So, and Cubs, it's what we love about the Tuesday audience. You keyed in. I was just about to say that in the NFL, it's about facing adversity. It's about being resilient and about bouncing back. And I believe we're going to see the true 49ers team over the next couple of weeks. I said it earlier. Glad it happened. It sounds a bit perverted. What, you're glad you lost? This is sport. It's an emotional roller coaster. I'm glad that it's happened. And as he's put that, when it didn't matter, I mean. So Carl said he wanted them to face adversity to learn. It was an AFC team, which doesn't hurt the tiebreakers.
Sure.
When Brian says get the brasso ready, you know something big's happening. So, for context, the year we went to the Super Bowl under Jimmy and we lost to the Chiefs, the start of that season, Brian said we were going all the way. Now, obviously, we didn't win the Super Bowl, but we were that confident we booked a Super Bowl party before a ball had even been thrown. And as those wins kept coming in, it was getting better and better. Now, I agree, Cubs. You've got to give Cleveland Browns the kudos. Their defence played well. I was very bullish with John Chapman from the live show that I did from London, where I was like, Stefanski's play calling's terrible. They don't have anything on offence. We kind of got beat by our own game. A stout run game. They were solid. 19 points in today's NFL isn't a great kind of points to give up. I said that we could give up 12 or 13 from a score prediction. It's just none of us saw the Niners not scoring past 17. That's the problem. Sure. And I think it can be just one of those games, Cubs. We're not going to deep dive it too much more. Now, Wayne, he's edited all the photos and he's uploading. Now, I promised Tracy some phone-free time. I think I'll be revoking that because when I get off this podcast, I want to see
those
photos.
That's my
Nick. So, is there anything else you want to talk about the Vikings, about the Browns game? See, I've already forgot about the Browns. I'm on the Vikings.
Next week. No, I mean, the rushing thing is a very good point. You know, Kareem Hunt ran all over us. He did. He had a very good game individually for the Browns. We need to put a plug in that. And you could see Steve Wilkes was miffed. And that's putting it politely. You could see him in that booth. He was not happy at all. Wow, Wayne, that's a lot of photos, mate. Fair play. That is spectacular effort. Thank you so much for that. That's amazing. But surely it's better to have these things happen in week 6 so you can put them right. You know, you're not giving up a blueprint to beat the 49ers in week 6 for the playoffs.
I mean, look at the Bills, Nick. Did you foresee the Bills struggling against the Giants after what we did to the Giants? Did you foresee the Eagles losing to the Jets? I always say to non-NFL fans when they say to me, why do you enjoy this game? Because on any given Sunday, anyone can beat anyone. And I haven't watched the game tape back yet from Sunday. I will. Like I said, late night back last night. I actually had a football-free night for a change. So it was a little bit of a shock, don't get me wrong. But I interrupted Nick there. So Wayne has taken 417 photos in total. Now, we have been asked, I'll put the banner back up, about the watch party. The 49ers was their event. Their media team was there, Nick. They were taking a lot of footage. I'll be honest, I don't know whether we'll ever get that footage. I don't know whether we'll ever see it. Give the Niners marketing team their kudos. They tweeted out the cue
Oh, they were all on it.
on Sunday. We were also joined not only by Joe Staley, but we also joined by a very special set of young gentlemen who go by the name of the Gathering of Strangers, Nick.
Oh, it was awesome. A massive surprise. I don't think we didn't know they were coming. It was so awesome to see them coming through the door, though. You know, being able to say thank you for letting them use their amazing song "Red and Gold" for our theme song. You know, and they were so gracious in saying thank you for us using their song. It's like, guys, really, you know, you're a quality band. You're putting out some amazing music. Thank you for letting our little show have that. You know, and they were fantastic. They were so good. They were so eager to chat with us, and it was awesome to see. Absolutely awesome to see.
So, for those people who go to the game regularly at Levi, you may be aware of the theme tune from our show on a Tuesday, Red and Gold. So, the Gathering of Strangers are a UK-based band. I don't want to do them a disservice by saying they're not a big band because they're getting bigger.
Oh, they
were chatting to the band last night. Now, what was humble for me, little old Mr. Hope on this side of the pond. So, did a show with Chapman before we went, actually, the game kicked off, talking to Joe Staley, Nick Clark, and then the Gathering of Strangers come over, tap me on the shoulder and say, thank you for all your work you do, sharing the tweets, sharing the posts, because they've said at their gigs they are aware of Niners fans there. Now, we're getting to the point where I hope this works, so I am going to share with some of the, share with everyone. So the band, I think they were playing music, weren't they, Nick, when the commercial breaks were on?
Yeah.
So the song came on. So I'm just going to leave this here. Let's see if it works.
This is awesome.
So, for context, everybody, the band filmed that. The band were over the moon that we were singing that to them. Now, the clip is only 9 seconds because I believe that gets it under the copyright rules for YouTube. We do have permission off the band, which is why we can use their song. But I know we're a Niners show, but we're just wanting to show the community spirit. Cubs, that blown away that we use their song. And they're blown away. They were all decked out in Niners gear. And if you're not following me on Instagram or Twitter, you need to, because I put a lot of photos on with the band. They were as gracious with their time, Nick, as what.
Oh, they were amazing.
Joe Staley weren't they?
Oh, they were. They were absolutely fantastic. They were happy to chat with everyone. It was just a really great evening all around from all sides. You know, you can't complain. Joe was exactly what you'd expect Joe to be. He's the same man in real life as he is on telly. Happy to chat with anyone about everything, really. The band, again, amazing. It was so awesome to see, and you can see their faces. We're all singing their song back at them during that break. It was just a genuinely spectacular experience. It really was.
So we've been joined in the chat by a good friend of ours, Ted Talks Ball. So if you haven't seen recently, Ted is on his Brock Purdy apology tour. So Ted was very vocal on his feelings on Brock. So happy to have you with us, buddy. Yeah, we haven't done it yet. We would please like you to hit the like and subscribe button. We have hit 600 subs on YouTube. Thank you very much. I believe last week was one of our most watched shows, Nick. I don't know whether it was a coincidence that we had the watch party coming up, but we'll take it. Now, like I've said, I'm not trying to make anyone who wasn't at the watch party envious about sharing our stories. The reason I'm sharing these stories with everyone is, like Mike's put there, Mike's son was a Giants fan and he enjoyed it so much he fell asleep on the train home. There was a Titans fan there. There was a Bears fan. There was people of all ages. I've put it out there on record. I wasn't drinking. The vibe was, if you wanted to party, you could do that. Equally, if you wanted to come and watch the game, it was split on 2 floors. Me and Lee possibly Nick, given how his voice is tomorrow, will go a bit more into the actual logistics of the watch party. But I think for you guys across the pond tuning in, when we say a watch party, I'm right in what I'm saying, Nick. They don't happen very often in the UK.
No, they don't. We don't have a lot of access to stuff like this. We are very spread out. We're not all crammed into one small part. And getting around the UK is not cheap. You know, anyone in the chat will know this. Hey, there's one person in the chat, Martin, you know better than anybody how expensive train travel can be within the UK, how expensive fuel is for cars in the UK. It is unbelievably expensive. So it's really difficult for us to get together on a regular basis to watch games together. We very much are sat at home on our own a lot of the time. If someone's lucky enough to have people that follow the teams and sit in people's houses, but then games can be quite late in the night. So how often are you going to go around to a friend's house to watch a game at 1:15 in the morning? It's not something that really happens very often. So when we're all together, they're moments to treasure. They're moments that will live in the memory for a very long time. I have photos that are going to be printed out. They're going to be on my wall. And I'm not just talking the one with Joe. There's going to be the one I had with Wayne. There'll be the one that I had with yourself and with Lee. These photos are going to be memories for a very, very long time, and something that's, will make me smile. I'll forget eventually about what the score was. I'll forget the game eventually, but I won't forget that feeling of being all together. I won't forget that feeling of, the eruption when Lenore picked off the ball and the bar just went mental. Those are the ones that will live on forever. And that's what I want to take from that watch party more than anything else in the whole world.
Yeah, so Will Gavin, who's a good friend of the show, he was there reporting for TalkSport. Sky Sports was there. And there was a bit when before Jordan Mason scored the touchdown, Will kind of made eye contact with me and he held his phone up. So that was all the crowd was going. Then Mason ran it in and Joe Staley just pointed at me. I kind of pointed back because what else do you do? And then he started giving the whole, and like you said, Martin's put there, he's glad he was with us awesome lot for that loss. Would have been painful, sat at home, watching on your own. And I was a bit distracted when you're talking there. Connor Ryan, see, it never stops people. He's just texted me. It's on the 49ers website. There's an article off the field. Joe Staley visits 49ers first ever London watch party. And it looks like they've used Wayne's group photo that Wayne has used. Now, for you non-soccer fans like me, I will share a funny story at my own expense. So, try to meet and greet everybody who came in. My only kind of regret on Sunday, and I'll get into it a bit more later tomorrow, so I didn't have time for everybody. And halfway through the night, Delaney Walker walks in. Now, admittedly, a bit starstruck. Didn't get a chance to see Delaney. He was literally in, paused for a few photos, went out again. And he was joined by another chap who had a lanyard, looked very official, didn't mingle with the crowd. And as he was leaving, this official chap at the end of the night, I said, "Thank you for coming." He said, "Oh, would you like a photo?" And I was thinking, okay, if you really want to. And he went, "You don't know who I am, do you?" And I was like, "No idea, mate." And he went, "I'm Rob Holden." And I went, "Don't do English football, mate. Sorry." And he just laughed. And I think that made him a little bit like, I was like, "No idea who you are, mate." So he came to the watch party. Apologies, Rob. I know who you are now. But I hope your experience of the UK Faithful was good. But Jamie's just put there, he's just tuned in. Much love for all involved with the watch party. So at this point, I do want to say massive thank you to Nick Clark, Ali Dickin and the 49ers. We will get into it a bit more. I'm going to embarrass him if he hasn't fallen asleep in the chat. El Presidente, the main man himself, Lee Gowland, cannot be understated what that man does for our group. I am just his humble minion who does his bidding sometimes. But it was awesome to see him on Sky Sport. Awesome to see him work the crowd. If you didn't see me interview with John Chapman, so the guy from Fanzest had a laptop, I had some headphones in, couldn't hear a word John was saying. So I've watched that interview back today, and I want to apologise to you, John Chapman, because I didn't answer some of your questions, because I couldn't hear a word you were saying. But I was trying to do a serious interview, Nick, as you know, be me, very calm, very measured. And then John Chapman starts laughing, and I look, and there's El Presidente, boombox on his arm, gold chain on. Then he goes away. Sourdough Sam comes over. But that, for me, was a surreal moment that our little watch party was broadcasting live to the likes of Chapman. We were asking our questions. And as infamous Wayne, that's your YouTube name, so I'm going to use that, Chris. People make the watch parties. We're dedicated and we want the team to succeed. Being together brings out the best of the pride.
It does.
Clubs, I would look into this for you. So for those across the pond, can we do a Zoom conference call as a watch party? We did do those in lockdown, buddy.
Yeah, we did.
COVID hit, so we could go from there. Let's have a little look. Martin has gone back to your earlier point.
It's
Grill
insane.
fares are ridiculous, although I'm very happy with the refund I received earlier, Martin. Not going to lie. So, Michael, it's a great time at the watch party. He had the same problems on the trains getting home to Newcastle via Milton Keynes, Stoke, Manchester and Leeds.
Jeez, mate. Wow.
Yeah, it was all very confusing coming out of King's Cross. But I was a passenger princess this weekend, everybody. My good friend Nick Ludlam. What he doesn't know about the tubes. So I got off the train at King's Cross and I just followed Nick wherever Nick went. It was quite fun to watch. And then when our train got cancelled on Monday, it meant I could share a train home with El Presidente and Ben Gowland. So again, I just followed where they went. I'll share that there. So let's have a little look. So there's a lot of pun jokes intended about the next watch party has to go to a city without an L. Got to go to Winchester to break the hoodoo. Now, if you did listen to the pod, the 49ers UK watch party, we're actually 6-3 in our records. I'll have you know.
Total, yeah.
With the official watch parties added in, we're 6-6. So the next one's the biggie. The next one is the biggie.
It's fine. We'll win.
Nice of you to join the
Get
show,
in,
Rob. And yes, I agree. I'm on record.
100%.
Captain and Breezy.
100%.
I did warn John. I'm coming for a bear hug because I know John will be at the Buccaneers game. I'm not sure whether Breezy will be there. Now, before we get into the Would You Rather, Nick, it's a nice segue to move off the watch party and move on to the gold mine. So, I cannot wait to get on that plane and get to San Francisco. I will be passenger princess again because I'm just following you lot. Never been, but you must be getting hyped for the gold mine trip now, buddy.
Oh, mate, I can't wait. I can't wait. I've been taught. Obviously, I'm sharing a plane over, and I'm sharing a room with Kev while I'm there. And we've been chatting about it, about things we're going to do, places we're going to eat. It's like, yeah, I want an In-N-Out burger. I want to get a nice throat soothing hot fudge sundae from Ghirardelli's. There's all these things all are starting to come back, and it's not far. It is just 4 weeks away. 4 weeks until we are there. Coming around the corner on the VTA, and then Levi's is going to come in full view. I realize I'm doing this on the left-hand side on the screen, but it's on the right. But it's coming in on the right-hand side, Levi's will come into full view. You'll have that enormous San Francisco 49ers logo on the side of Levi's Stadium. And there's just nothing that can prepare you for it. We don't get to do these things very often. It is spectacular. But we will be there soon. I will be back in full voice. That is a guarantee. I will be back in full voice. I can also guarantee that I will be sounding much like this again on the Monday because we know Nick Clark's going to work us. We're all 40 of us are going to sound like this the following day, but it's going to be worth it,
So we're going to try and bring a British feel to the gold mine. We're going to try and bring some soccer-style chanting. We tried it in the bar on Sunday. Mr. Clark was very excited. Now, I just wanted to put this comment on there because this just shows the awesome community. So you mentioned Chapman and Breezy. Brett Sinclair won't mind me sharing that he'd never listened to a podcast before we started doing ours. And we put him on to Breezy and Chapman, and now he never misses a show. And it works both ways. Cubs found us because the awesome, and I really mean this, the awesome Steph Sanchez had me on. And I do remember, Cubs, I take things quite to heart sometimes, and your comment after that show really touched me. I shared it with the chaps. You were really very courteous of my performance on that show, and you reached out, and you've been an absolute regular on a Tuesday, so we do appreciate that. And we do love the community. That's why we wanted to kind of not rip apart the Cleveland Browns game. We wanted to focus on this community aspect. We wanted to focus on the watch party. Yesterday, I forgot. It's been a while since me and Nick met up in person. We got on the tube. We went to Tower Bridge. Got that right, Gowland?
Oh,
we
got it right this time.
Shard. We went to the Tower of London. We're trying to grow this little brand of ours on this side of the pond, and we got some photos. Now, I am going to share this story. So, Nick's a little bit shy. Mr. Hope isn't. I'm a northerner. We talk to anyone. These lot were telling me off for saying thank you on the tube. So
I did no such thing. I just said you were creeping people out.
So we were stood near the Monument of London, and there was a group of ladies, fair to say, late 50s, 60s, because Tracy will be watching this and she'd kill me. And we asked them, would they take the photo of me and Nick holding the flag? And one of them straight away was like, San Francisco 49ers. And we were like, yeah. And she was like, I'm from San Francisco. Are you guys from San Francisco? So then we got into the logistics of where we're from, the group. And football just brings everybody together. And we had a chat about football. And then we went round to where the Tyson Fury statue is. I think those guys were French or German. They took our photo. But like Mike has put it there, it was more like a good family gathering. Now,
it was.
As Nick hasn't got much left in his voice, and I know he's done his homework today, I really haven't. So I'll have to wing it because I totally forgot.
We go.
So it's at that time of the show where would you rather? Now, before you dive into that, I created a little graphic earlier for the band and I forgot to put it on there. So I just want to say, please do check out The Gathering of Strangers on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. They did share that video that I shared earlier on their Instagram. So it was awesome. Now, as I said, I haven't done my homework, Nick. And I believe that you have. So you're going to go first. You've got one prepared.
I do have one prepared. So, in the vein of obviously we've had the watch party. Now, my would you rather is very simple. Now, would you rather that result stand? We have this amazing night where we're all together watching the game, and the loss counts. The Niners remain at 5-1. But my alternative is this: the 49ers win that game. They don't just win; they win big. We're talking 50. We're talking 50 points to 7 big. So all of the runs keep on going. No injuries. Everyone comes out unscathed. But there's just 5 of us watching the game. There's just a couple of us. But you get everything else is reversed. CMC is fine. There's none of those shenanigans going on before the game where a few things happen between was it Debo and Trent Williams. All of that goes away. But again, like I say, there's only a couple of us. So would you rather watch that game with everyone and have this amazing night, or would you rather take it all back and take the win?
Oh, let's have a little look. Nah, my Cubs has already said it. If you were building up the big one, you take the loss to have the experience. I mean, don't get me wrong. When you lose a game, it's frustrating. We were all primed to explode if Jake Moody's field goal went over. It would have been 2019 vibes against the Saints in Edinburgh, because we didn't record that one. I know Martin had his phone ready. But in the terms of what is a successful watch party, the one thing we cannot control is the results.
Yeah, it's professional sport.
Got home last night telling Tracy about Joe Staley, about how awesome Joe Staley's wife was with the crowd, given that she was like there with her husband, how much of the time the Niners gave us, how we all got our signed merch and more. Believe it or not, Keitha, big shout out to Keitha. He's gone and got his photos printed off and his poster from the watch party framed. I reach out to him, where do I get that frame from? And as Mike, you've put there, it was great meeting a bunch of people and felt like a part of the family, even though I know you've mentioned before that you're visiting long term. But I take the loss. Now, I was preparing my Would You Rather earlier, and I got interrupted with some family stuff. But before I ask you mine, Martin put again there, take the loss all day.
Now, see, that's why I had to keep putting on things like no injuries, massive score lines, just to try and tempt you away, but I couldn't tempt. Fair play.
I can't work out where you are in this little video. I'll just play it again just to get the vibes.
I know exactly where I am. There he is. And go.
So, we have a little show on this side of the pond called Britain's Got Talent. And instead of the star prize being £1 million or something stupid like that, the prize is season tickets to the Levi Stadium for the group. All you have to do, Nick, is go on stage and give that song a full word perfect performance and hope that Simon Cowell, Najee Karar, I'm trying to think of some celebrities, Joe Staley, get you through, and I'll go Will Gavin, don't press the buzzer. Now, I've picked a few faces there that may put you through, not put you through. The other alternative is you just walk away and the group don't get the tickets, but you do have to go on that stage and you have to sing Red and Gold, word perfect. What are we doing? Are you getting on that stage?
I'm singing.
Or are you walking away?
I'm singing. There's no other way. You've got to go for the ticket. Go for the tickets.
Now, I could have been mean at this point, everybody, and said, come on then, give us a rendition. But given how Nick's voice is at the moment. So, what we'll do, Nick, is when we go to Levi Stadium, we'll go live and you can do that performance. I'm joking. But all jokes aside, when I was preparing for tonight, I was going to try and wind Nick up and say it's on record how evil Nick is. But last week we didn't do a Would You Rather because of the sensitive topic of World Mental Health Day, and it's okay not to be okay. I'm sure this will resonate with everyone at home. We all have stuff going on in our personal life. You don't know what people are going through. And given the vibes of the party, Nick, I couldn't bring myself to be that evil to you. But I do want to put on record that I think next week, because we're going to be cranky, we're going to be tired, because for us in the UK, we call it Monday Night Football. It actually means 1:15 Tuesday morning, which means the game won't finish till about 4:30, 5. And I haven't got the rota for work next week. If I'm in the office, I'm putting leave in. If I'm not in the office, I might get away with a few hours sleep and working from home. But for the UK faithful, it's a strange one because of the gold mine. I've tried not to take too much leave in November.
That's fair.
Positive, Rob's put there. You're not going to be getting any complaints or letters from your neighbours.
I'll be fine by Monday. I'll be back to fighting form. Don't you worry about that, Rob.
Cubs has put there that he'd go on stage and give it a shot. I knew you'd say yes to that.
I would. I've done it before. I've been on stage in front of 300 people trying to do stand-up comedy. I failed at that. I'll quite happily fail in front of those judges singing. Not a problem.
As Dan's put there, the game will be forgotten, but the night won't. Keep it as it is. It was a fantastic experience. So apologies, everyone. My Would You Rather wasn't as good as Nick's. I didn't put the homework in tonight. Last shout out of the night, I want to do the Broadleaf staff. So the Broadleaf Sports Bar in London, I've got to say, they were absolutely
fantastic.
I was going to say they were awesome. So we are going to touch upon some of the issues yesterday. Sunday, even the venue was oversold. There was an overspill pub. People come from Tottenham didn't get in. But we're going to talk about that tomorrow. I believe we'll be going live at the same time tomorrow night. But set those notifications on everybody.
Indeed.
Because when I jump off this show, I'm going to chat with Lee, see how Nick's voice is, and see whether we can set something. It definitely will be tomorrow. So for you guys watching across the pond, we're looking at 8 p.m. UK time, which is 12 noon PST time for you, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're just going to talk about the watch party, some lessons learned. Lee's already put some posts in the group. So if you're in the Facebook group, you came to the watch party, please do head over there. Lee's put what went well, what didn't go well. As you can tell, he's El Presidente for a reason. Hang on, got a live question. Got to give the band. Come on, Nick. What's the band called?
It's Gathering of Strangers. Gathering of Strangers, if you didn't catch it first time when I said it.
I've got it there. So, again, if you head over to the Facebook post, Lee's pinned it. If you're not on Facebook,
Awesome.
if you want to reach out to me or Lee on DMs, we just want you to... we work closely with the 49ers, and any lessons we can learn. It was the first one in London. It was pretty huge. As Nick said earlier, Nick's based in Wales. I'm based in the northeast of England. The watch parties don't just happen overnight. Yes, he's going shortly, Martin.
Oh, yeah. Straight down Tesco.
The watch parties don't happen overnight. We'll get into a bit more of the logistics. I just want to say thank you to everybody who turned up yesterday. I also want to say thank you to everybody who was a part of the group. If you weren't able to come to the watch party, financial, family, work,
whatever,
you're still representing. You were still in the game day chat. You're representing, even if you're walking down your local street, you've got a Niners logo on. We are the UK faithful. We're flying the flag. We just happen to do a podcast about it. We happen to have a little YouTube channel, which, to be fair, Joe Staley was impressed when I told him we had 614 subs. Not going to lie.
It's not bad.
He was quite impressed. Now, he didn't get back to me when I asked if he could come on. He did say he was flying back to California yesterday with the rest of them, but it would have been epic to get him on. I'm just going to load the video up, Nick, because we're getting to that time. But before we finish off, I'm just going to do it one more time because I want to.
Dancing in the red and gold. Dancing in the red and gold.
Oh.
Now, for me, that is the most perfect way to end the show. We will be back next Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow. And we'll be also doing a Vikings preview show. Appreciate the shout out from Nick and Gareth on the pod. They said last night it was released today. Anything you want to add, Nick, while I load this video up, buddy?
No, I think I just would like to just reiterate what you already said. Guys, thank you so much for being there. Thank you to the band. Thank you to the bar. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to the 49ers. But just as a person, thank you to everyone for making a truly memorable experience of Sunday night. Thank you all very, very much.
So all that's left to say is stay safe. Go Niners.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in our heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, Deep Clark.